Hello all, Matthew Bodie here, back with another South African genealogy tutorial. Today's video, once again, will be somewhat different from my normal videos. Today's video is actually done in collaboration with my friend Jolene Joshua. This video is for a Find Your Roots seminar, which will be running this coming Saturday in South Africa. But I think that anybody who's just starting out their genealogy journey with a focus on South Africa may stand to benefit from watching this video. Those of you who are at an intermediate or advanced level probably don't need to watch, but please do forward the link to this video on to your friends to hopefully encourage them to start their South African research. Anyway, so today's a beginner's guide to South African research, so let's get started. Firstly, I know that most of you probably haven't started building a family tree just yet, which is probably why you're watching this video. But before you even start your family tree, stop and think what you are actually hoping to achieve by doing this. So define your research goal. This is actually probably one of the most important things when you first start your genealogy journey, because oftentimes one can find themselves just ambling along, finding random surnames and random people, and not actually achieving much in their family tree. So yeah, you want to make sure that you have a clear goal at hand. Do you want to research just your father's line? Do you want to research every line? Do you want to try and find your mysterious great-grandfather? It's an important thing to address, defining your research goal. Next, you're going to want to talk to your relatives, and by that I mean your living relatives. Talk to them, ask them the questions that you were too afraid to ask when you were younger. Try and glean some information from them. You might find that your grumpy older relatives, as they get older, appreciate the human contact and will want to hear from you. So yes, make an effort to reach out to them and ask them those questions that you need to progress with your research. Another thing I can suggest is to draw a simple family tree, starting with what you know. So most people, and I say most because some people don't, some people are adopted or have illegitimacies in their family or whatever, just start with what you know. So most people know themselves and their parents and their grandparents, and beyond that, most people don't know. So draw out what you already know. That will again help you realize where you have blanks and which branches you're most interested to branch out and explore further. Next, while talking to your relatives, try and collect as many original documents, certificates, and photographs as possible. This will come in handy as you progress along your genealogy journey. And once you have addressed those 3 steps, I'd say you're ready to begin. So let's go to our next slide. So what are the best sites for South African research? For me personally, my favorite site would have to be FamilySearch. It is absolutely free, plenty of documents for South Africa on that website, all completely free. Absolutely brilliant site to get started. My next favorite site, and this is a preference, some people don't like this site because it's a pay site, although you don't have to pay to build your family tree, and that's why I like it. This next site is Ancestry, and it is my platform of choice for building my online family tree. And after that, the National Archives website. This is where I go, it's my go-to site when I'm trying to find references to documents for my relatives. And by that I mean, I'll go into the site, I'll plug in my relatives' family names, and then I'll hope for the best that a reference might pop up to an estate file. And you can use that reference to glean a whole lot more information. Generally, I use it to find records from the website FamilySearch. Sometimes you have to hire a professional to retrieve the documents for you from an archive at a fee, but I'll get into that further later on in the presentation. So those are my top 3 sites for South African research. Now, what is FamilySearch, you may ask? What can you expect to find there? FamilySearch is an online genealogy service operated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints based in Utah. The layman term is the Mormon Church, although I don't think they like to be referred to as the Mormon Church, so the LDS for short. They run the site, they own it, and they are very generous in doing so. And I'm sure most of the genealogy community at large appreciate their efforts. Now, for South Africa, what records can you expect to find there? Baptismal records up until the early 2000s in some cases, and for some religions. Anglican being one that comes to mind. They have baptisms up until quite recently. Next, marriage records. Just about every marriage in South Africa which was registered civilly, and by that I mean either occurred in a church or a magistrate's office, and the celebrant or magistrate actually remembered to register the marriage, you can expect to find that record on FamilySearch up until about 1960. So the next thing that you can expect to find, a set of records you can expect to find on FamilySearch, are civil death notices, also known as death certificates. And there are death certificates online on FamilySearch up until the year 1966. From the beginning of civil registration in South Africa right up until 1966, you can expect to find your relative's death certificate. Keeping in mind, it's preferable to know exactly when and where they died before going to find their record, although in some instances there are indexes already on the website FamilySearch, so you won't need to do as much manual trawling. Next, you can expect to find some estate files, and within those estate files, you'll oftentimes find a will, and both of these documents are extremely genealogically rich. They will help you go back generations, they'll help you branch out your family. I mean, I've even seen estate files which contain family trees within them. That is how genealogically rich they can be. Next, you can expect to find some general church records, for example, minutes and memberships. And I don't know if you had a relative who was perhaps a clergyman, you may find multiple references to them in those sorts of records. So there are select minutes and memberships for some religions on FamilySearch, and slave schedules. I believe there was just a collection published about last year with some slave schedules for the Cape. Now, I know I've placed a lot of emphasis on church records here, and I haven't mentioned birth certificates, and that is just something that people ask all the time. Where can I find my relative's birth certificate? And I am disheartened to say, but it's just the hard truth that you won't find your relative's birth certificate on FamilySearch. The best you can hope for, in most cases, is to find their baptism. And I mean, for some religions, which list a mother's maiden name and place of residence at the time of birth, in some cases they're just as genealogically rich, if not more, than birth certificates. But just keep that in mind before you go on FamilySearch. You will not find your relative's birth certificate, but you may find their baptism or their marriage record, which may give you some insight into their lives and ideas as to how to branch out those lines further. Now, let's go and check out what Ancestry is. So what is Ancestry? Ancestry is a privately held, for-profit genealogy company based in Utah in the United States. It is a great place to store your online family tree. The main benefits on Ancestry include free online family tree building software with no limits on tree size. Now this is important because there are other sites out there where they will entice you to start your family tree there, but once you go over a certain amount of people in your tree, and this is an addictive hobby if you don't already know that, that can happen quite quickly. Once you get over that limit, they will start charging you for adding additional people to your tree. So that is the beauty of Ancestry. It's completely free to build your family tree there. Furthermore, there is an ability to upload unlimited media, such as photos and documents, PDF files as well. I upload all the time. And by that, um, sorry, with unlimited media storage, you're basically tapping into a free cloud service. That's basically what I use Ancestry as, a free cloud service. I upload all my family photos and all my documents there. I mostly keep my family photos private, which they allow you to do. Documents I tend to keep public because that encourages collaboration, but just keep that in mind. There are also other sites out there, for-profit sites, that will not let you upload unlimited media. Once again, once you get over a certain amount, say 500 megabytes, they'll make you pay. Another reason why I love Ancestry is it's for its user friendliness, and I think most people can agree genealogy sites for the most part are quite overwhelming when you first get started. I find Ancestry is just for the layman probably a great place to start. Very user friendly. Next, there's an option to have a public or private family tree. Now keep in mind, a public family tree means that everyone will be able to see information about deceased people. Your living information will not be displayed if you are marked as living, but deceased individuals will be public, as well as any media you attach to their profiles. But there's an option to privatize your family tree. So if you're just getting started and you're worried that you've uploaded mistakes and you don't want those mistakes to be repeated in other people's research, then it's probably best to keep a private family tree at first. And unlike other websites where, say, it's a One World Tree website, it's all generally, for the most part, is completely public, and it's very hard to get rid of incorrect information once you add it. There's probably having a private family tree on Ancestry is probably a good way to go getting started before you go onto the whole One World Tree concept, which we'll probably get into in another seminar if ever you decide to attend another Find Your Roots seminar with us, with Jolene and I. Potential tree matches. Many South Africans use Ancestry as their main family tree building software of choice. And I say software of choice, and I emphasized online earlier, because there are desktop family tree programs which you can use to build your family tree. Now, Ancestry is online, but you can download desktop software which syncs with your online family tree so that they're always in sync with each other, media wise, information wise. You always have access on your desktop as well as online. And as I said earlier, I sort of use Ancestry as a cloud storage software, and then I have desktop software on my computer which I sync with my Ancestry family tree so that I always have a backup of photos in the cloud as well as on my desktop. So potential tree matches, I probably didn't emphasize this enough. Many South Africans use Ancestry as their main family tree building software. So you have the potential to connect with other relatives out there who may be researching your branch of family or your common ancestors. And in doing so, they may be encouraged to collaborate with you if you have a public family tree. And next, on Ancestry, you have the ability to test your DNA. And that's probably a larger topic which we'll get into at a later stage. But once you've mastered the paper side of genealogy, you may be interested to explore the DNA side a bit more. But that is another topic for another day. But just something to keep in mind. There's another benefit on Ancestry. As well as being able to build your family tree there, you can also order a DNA test and link it to your family tree. Now, next, what is NAAIRS? I don't even know how to pronounce it. I don't even pronounce it in my head. It is an acronym short for the National Automated Archival Information Retrieval System. Yes, that is a mouthful. And for most of you who are attending this seminar, I'm sure Joe has given you a handout with the breakdown of the sites mentioned today, and a link to the National Archives should be included in that handout. So, the National Archives website hosts references to documents, and then references or indexes is another word to documents. And these references or indexes can be used to retrieve documents from FamilySearch and or manually from the relative archive or repository. So say estate files, there's a plethora of references to estate files on FamilySearch, and for the most part, most of them you can retrieve online at FamilySearch free of charge. There will be the odd occasion where you have to fork out some money to a pro genealogist, and for a small fee, they will retrieve the documents for you from the relevant archive. So those are my 3 favorite sites for genealogy in South Africa, and that's also the end of this PowerPoint, which means that I'll now go on and show you each of these sites individually. So right here, we are on the home page of Ancestry, just so you can familiarize yourself with this. And on the next tab over, we are on the website FamilySearch. Links to all these sites, as I said, will be included in your handout. And next we have the National Archives website, which is where I go to find all my references. So, FamilySearch, as I mentioned, is where you want to go to find records for your ancestors in South Africa. And to do so, on the FamilySearch site, hover over the Africa map here, scroll down to South Africa, and now you have the search box here where you can try your luck searching the index collections, or you can scroll down further and filter by collection, so you can see if any collections stick out to you, and you can browse them manually. This little count shows the amount of indexed records for each collection. So for the purpose of this video, just to give you an example, I'm going to type in the name of my great-great-grandfather, Jakob Theodor Bodie. Born in Germany, he immigrated from Germany to South Africa as a soldier in the 1870s, and this I know just from word of mouth, from what my grandfather told me. So let's see if he's listed on FamilySearch under an index record. And we can see the names are slightly switched around, but here he is. Alice Post, East London. That's where my grandfather was born. And underneath death here, it says probate. So we can guess from that that this is an estate file, an indexed estate file. So after typing in his name, let's have a look at this record, and you can do so by just clicking anywhere on this line and then clicking on the image to open it larger. And here we are. This is definitely my great-great-grandfather, born around 1853, passed away in East London, South Africa. And I know it's definitely him because there is my great-grandfather Edward, my dad's grandfather, listed as a child on this death notice. So there's just a good example of how to use FamilySearch if you're a beginner. I have multiple tutorials on how to browse the indexed the unindexed records. And if you plan on attending any Find Your Roots seminars or sessions going forward, we'll probably go through how to access those unindexed records. But just to get started, have a play around with the website FamilySearch, type in some surnames, and you may just get lucky and find your relatives indexed on the website. Now, just to give you a brief overview of what Ancestry is and how I use Ancestry. This is the home page. So let's just start a brand new family tree here. Let's go create and manage trees and start a new family tree. Now let's go create a new tree here. We'll start with myself. Matthew. Then we'll add my dad. And here you'll see allow others to view this family tree. So this is where you can decide to make your tree public or private. If you decide to make it public to begin with and would like to privatize it later, you can easily do so. So now click save. And here we have a family tree started. So let's just start with what I know. So I know my father's name, Donovan. I know his father. I know his father. He was just listed on that estate file for my great-great-grandfather. And I know his father. And already, just from that little information that we added, you can already see the hints popping up, which is encouraging to researchers like us just starting out. So, I'll also show you how I use Ancestry for uploading media, etc. So let's go into my great-great-grandfather's profile here, and I'll show you how I add a photo to my family tree. So to do so, click on Gallery in your relative's profile, click on Add, and then click Upload Photos. And from there, locate the photo that you'd like to upload. I put it in my Downloads folder earlier, and just drag that photo into your relative's profile. Sometimes, depending on how high resolution the photo is, it can take a while to upload. And then just edit to your heart's content. You can say what type of media it is, you don't have to, but this is a portrait. You can set it as your relative's profile picture, and then just press done. And now that photo will always be easily accessible from your family tree, either from their individual profile or in your family tree's media gallery. Once you've added a profile picture, you have options to resize the profile picture, you can remove it, you can choose a different one. Lots of options for customizability at Ancestry as well. And also, another way which I love to use Ancestry is to download and source my documents. So we just found, on this family tree, we just found an estate file for my great-great-grandfather. So we don't want to lose that link, just in case, it gets further down in the search results as going forward, as more records become indexed. So let's highlight the link to this record, go to my great-great-grandfather's profile in my family tree, click on Add Web Link, paste that link, call it what you like, and then click Add. And now every time you visit your ancestor's profile in your family tree, that link is nicely and easily accessible right from your family tree. Easy as that. Now, had that record not been indexed, what I would ordinarily do is go onto the National Archives website. And remembering from the earlier presentation, this is where you want to find indexes to records for your ancestors. And you can use those indexes or references to go and find the actual documents. So, once on the National Archives website, click on RSA. This covers all archives and repositories here on the website. So click on RSA and then type in your relative's name. So my surname isn't very common, and Theodore certainly isn't a common first name in South Africa. So I'll feel pretty safe just typing in Theodore Bodie, that I might get a result from that. So line by line, type each word individually because that will garner the best search results. So Theodore, and the next line, Bodie, and click search and see if any results show up. As you can see here, there's 2 results. One being for my great-great-grandfather's estate file. So click on that. And look here, you can see a reference and a year. And let's go back to that file. Notice what's at the top here, that exact reference and year. So had the record not been indexed in FamilySearch already, we could have gone to the National Archives website, gone to FamilySearch, found it manually, and we would have turned up the exact same record. Anyway guys, this is just a very brief introduction to South African research. If you have any questions, feel free to ask after the video has been played, or if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, just leave a comment and I'll be glad to answer in due course. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Hope you have a great day. Goodbye.